In this essay, overall view of India in terms of physiography, geological development is discussed. India has colorful and wide variety of features which includes mountains, rivers, plains, deserts, lakes, etc. They are discussed in an overall perspective. Physiographic divisions of India. India is bounded to the southwest by the Arabian Sea, to the southeast by the Bay of Bengal, and the Indian Ocean to the south. Kanyakumari constitutes the southern tip of the Indian peninsula, which narrows before ending in the Indian Ocean. The southernmost part of India is Indira Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia are island nations to the south of India, with Sri Lanka separated from India by a narrow channel of sea formed by the Palk Strait and Gulf of Mannar. The territorial waters of India extend into the sea to a distance of 12 nautical miles, that is 22.2 kilometers, measured from the appropriate baseline. Geological development. India is entirely contained on the Indian plate, a major tectonic plate that was formed when it split off from the ancient continent Gondwana land. About 90 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous period, the Indian plate began moving north at about 15 centimeters per year. About 50 to 55 million years ago, in the Eocene epoch of the Cenozoic era, the plate collided with Asia after covering a distance of 2000 to 3000 kilometers, having moved faster than any other known plate. In 2007, German geologists determined that the Indian plate was able to move so quickly because it is only half as thick as the other plates which formerly constituted Gondwana land. The collision with the Eurasian plate, along with modern border between India and Nepal, formed the orogenic belt that created the Tibetan Plateau and the Himalayas. As of 2009, the Indian plate is moving northeast at 5 centimeters per year, while the Eurasian plate is moving north at only 2 centimeters per year. India is thus referred to as the fastest continent. This is causing the Eurasian plate to deform and the Indian plate to compress at a rate of 4 millimeters per year. Now, the physiographic divisions. India is divided into 7 physiographic regions. They are the northern mountain including Himalayas, which includes the Kuenling and the Karakoram ranges and the northeast mountain ranges. 2. Indo-Gangetic Plain. 3. Indian Desert. 4. Central Highlands and Deccan Plateau. 5. East Coast. 6. West Coast. 7. Islands. Mountains. A great arc of mountains consisting of the Himalayas, Hindu Kush and Patkai ranges define the North Indian subcontinent. These were formed by the ongoing of the Indian plate with Eurasian plate that started around 50 million years ago. The mountains in these ranges include some of the world's tallest mountains, which act as a natural barrier to cold polar winds. They also facilitate the monsoon winds, which in turn influence the climate in India. Rivers originating in these mountains flow through the fertile Indo-Gangetic plains. These mountains are recognized by biogeographists as the boundary between two of the Earth's great ecozones, the temperate pale Arctic that covers most of Eurasia and the tropical and subtropical Indo-Malaya ecozone, which includes the Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia and Indonesia. India has 8 major mountain ranges having peaks of over 1000 meters, that is about 3,300 feet. The Himalayan range is considered as the world's highest mountain range. They form India's northeastern border, separating it from northeastern Asia. They are one of the world's youngest mountain ranges and extend almost uninterrupted for 2,500 kilometers, covering an area of 5 lakh square kilometers. The Himalayas extend from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Arunachal Pradesh in the east. These states, along with Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Sikkim, lie mostly in the Himalayan region. Numerous Himalayan peaks rise over 7,000 meters, that is about 23,000 feet, and the snow line ranges between 20,000 feet in Sikkim to around 10,000 feet in Kashmir. Kanchenjunga on the Sikkim-Nepal border is the highest point in the area administered by India. Most peaks in the Himalayas remain snowbound throughout the year. The Himalayas act as a barrier to the frigid katabatic winds flowing down from Central Asia. Thus, North India is kept warm or only mildly cool during winter. In summer, the same phenomenon makes India relatively hot. The Karakoram is situated in the disputed state of Jammu and Kashmir. It has more than 60 peaks above 7,000 meters, including K2, the second highest peak in the world, 8,611 meters. The range is about 500 kilometers in length and most heavily glaciated part of the world outside the polar regions. The Patkai or Purvanchal are situated near India's eastern border with Myanmar. They were created by the same tectonic process which led to the formation of the Himalayas. The physical features of the Patkai mountains are conical peaks, steep slopes and deep valleys. The Patkai ranges are not as rugged or tall as the Himalayas. There are 3 hill ranges that come under the Patkai: the Patkai Bum, the Garo Khasi Jantia and the Lushai Hills. The Garo Khasi range lies in Meghalaya. Mausan Ram, a village near Cherrapunji, lying on the windward side of these hills, has the distinction of being the wettest place in the world, receiving the highest annual rainfall. The Vindhya range runs across most of central India, extending 1,050 kilometers. The average elevation of these hills is about 10,000 feet. They are believed to have been formed by the wastes created by the weathering of the ancient Aravalli mountains. Geographically, it separates northern India from southern India. The western end of the range lies in eastern Gujarat near its border with Madhya Pradesh and runs east and north, also meeting the Ganges at Mirzapur. The Satpura range begins in the eastern Gujarat near the Arabian Sea coast and runs east across Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. It extends 900 kilometers with many peaks rising above 1,000 meters, that is 3,300 feet. It is triangular in shape with its apex at Ratnapuri and the 2 sides being parallel to the Tapti and Narmada rivers. It runs parallel to Vindhya range, which lies to north, and these 2 east-west ranges divide the Indo-Gangetic plain from the Deccan Plateau located north of river Narmada. The Aravalli range is the oldest mountain range in India, running across Rajasthan from northeast to southwest direction, extending approximately 800 kilometers. The northern end of the range continues as isolated hills and rocky ridges into Haryana, ending near Delhi. The highest peak in this range is Guru Shikhar at Mount Abu, rising to about 6,000 feet, lying near the border with Gujarat. The Aravalli range is the eroded stub of an ancient fold mountain range. The range rose in a Precambrian event called the Aravalli Delhi origin. The Eastern Ghats are a discontinuous range of mountains which have been eroded and vivisected by four major rivers of southern India, the Godavari, Mahanadi, Krishna and Kaveri. These mountains extend from West Bengal to Orissa, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu along the coast and parallel to the Bay of Bengal. Though not as tall as the Western Ghats, some of its peaks are over 1000 meters or 3300 feet in height. The Nilgiri Hills in Tamil Nadu lies at the junction of the Eastern and Western Ghats. The Western Ghats or Sahyadri Mountains run along the western side of India's Deccan Plateau and separate it from a narrow coastal plain along the Arabian Sea. The range runs approximately 1600 kilometers from south of River Tapti near Gujarat-Maharashtra border and across Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu to the southern tip of the Deccan Peninsula. The average elevation is around 1000 meters or 3300 feet. Anaimudi in the Annamalai Hills, about 9000 feet in Kerala, is the highest peak in the Western Ghats. A brief mention of seasonal winds or monsoon, which envelops the subcontinent, appears necessary here. Seasonal winds or monsoons provide rainy summers and dry winters. Monsoon is traditionally defined as a seasonal reversing wind accompanied by corresponding changes in precipitation, but is now used to describe seasonal changes in atmospheric circulation and precipitation associated with the asymmetric heating of land and sea. Usually, the term monsoon is used to refer to the rainy phase of a seasonal changing pattern, although technically there is also a dry phase. India also has unique plain areas, among which Indo-Gangetic Plain is the main feature of the country. The Indo-Gangetic Plains, also known as the Great Plains, are large flood plains of Indus and the Ganges-Brahmaputra river systems. They run parallel to the Himalaya mountains from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Assam in the east and draining most of northern and eastern India. The plains encompass an area of 7 lakh square kilometers. The major rivers in this region are the Ganges and the Indus, along with their tributaries Bias, Yamuna, Gomti, Ravi, Chambal, Satluj and Chenab. The Great Plains are popularly classified into 4 divisions. The Bhabar Belt is adjacent to the foothills of the Himalayas and consists of boulders and pebbles which have been carried down by the river streams. As the porosity of this belt is very high, the streams flow underground. The Bhabar is generally narrow and with its widths varying between 7 to 15 kilometers. The Terai Belt lies next to the Bhabar region and is composed of newer alluvium. The underground streams reappear in this region. The region is excessively moist and thickly forested. It also receives heavy rainfall throughout the year and is populated with a variety of wildlife. The Bangar Belt consists of old alluvium and forms the alluvial terrace of the flood plains. In the Gangetic Plains, it has low upland covered by laterite deposits. The Kadar Belt lies in lowland areas after the Bangar Belt. It is made up of fresh, newer alluvium which is deposited by the rivers flowing down the plain. Now let us see Indian deserts. The Indian desert, Thar Desert, lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. It is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall, below 150 mm per year. The Thar Desert, also known as the Great Indian Desert, is the world's 7th largest desert. It forms a significant portion of western India and covers an area of 2.4 lakh square kilometers. The desert continues into Pakistan as the Cholistan Desert. Most of the Thar Desert is situated in Rajasthan, covering 61% of its geographic area. About 10% of this ecoregion comprises of sand dunes, and the remaining 90% consists of craggy rock forms, compacted salt lake bottoms, and interdunal and fixed dune areas. Annual temperatures can range from 0 degrees in the winter to over 50 degrees centigrade during the summer. Most of the rainfall received in this region is associated with the short July to September southwest monsoon that brings about 100 to 500 millimeters of precipitation. Water is scarce and occurs at great depths, ranging from 30 to 120 meters below the ground level. Rainfall is precarious and erratic, ranging from below 120 millimeters in the extreme west to 375 millimeters eastward. The soils of the arid region are generally sandy to sandy loam in texture. The consistency and depth vary as per the topographical features. The low-lying loams are heavier and may have hard pan of clay, calcium carbonate or gypsum. Highlands of India. The Central Highlands comprise of 3 main plateaus: the Malwa Plateau in the west, the Deccan Plateau in the south, covering most of the Indian peninsula, and the Chota Nagpur Plateau in the east. The Malwa Plateau. The Malwa Plateau was spread across Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. The average elevation of the Malwa Plateau is 500 meters and the landscape generally slopes towards the north. Most of the region is drained by the Chambal River and its tributaries. The western part is drained by the upper reaches of the Mahi River. Ujjain was the political, economic and cultural capital of the region in ancient times, and Indore is presently the largest city and commercial center. Overall, agriculture is the main occupation of the people of Malwa. The region has been one of the important producers of opium in the world. Cotton and soya beans are other important cash crops, and textiles are a major industry. The Deccan Plateau. The Deccan Plateau is a large triangular plateau bounded by the Vindhyas to the north and flanked by the eastern and western Ghats. The Deccan covers a total area of 1.9 million square kilometers. It is mostly flat, with elevations ranging from 300 to 600 meters, that is 1000 to 2000 feet. The average elevation of the plateau is 2000 feet above sea level. The surface slopes from 3000 feet in the west to 1500 feet in the east. It slopes gently from west to east and gives rise to several peninsular rivers such as Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri and the Narmada, which drain into the Bay of Bengal. This region is mostly semi-arid as it lies on the leeward side of both Ghats. Much of the Deccan is covered by thorn scrub forest scattered with small regions of deciduous broadleaf forest. Climate in Deccan ranges from hot summers to mild winters. The Chota Nagpur Plateau. The Chota Nagpur Plateau is situated in eastern India, covering much of Jharkhand and adjacent parts of Orissa, Bihar and Chhattisgarh. Its total area is approximately 65,000 square kilometers and is made up of 3 smaller plateaus, the Ranchi, Hazaribagh and Kodarma plateaus. The Ranchi Plateau is the largest with an average elevation of 700 meters, that is about 2,300 feet. Much of the plateau is forested, covered by the Chota Nagpur dry deciduous forests. Vast reserves of metal ores and coal have been found in the Chota Nagpur Plateau. The Kathiawar Peninsula in western Gujarat is bounded by the Gulf of Kutch and the Gulf of Khambat. The natural vegetation is Most of the peninsula is xeric scrub, part of the northwestern thorn scrub forest ecoregion. India has fair share of coasts. Eastern Coastal Plain. The Eastern Coastal Plain is a wide stretch of land lying between the Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. It stretches from Tamil Nadu in the south to West Bengal in the north. The Mahanadi, Godavari, Kaveri and Krishna rivers drain these plains and their deltas occupy most of the area. The temperature in the coastal regions exceed 30 degrees centigrade, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, coupled with high levels of humidity. The region receives both the northeast and the southwest monsoon rain. The southwest monsoon splits into two branches, the Bay of Bengal branch and the Arabian Sea branch. The Bay of Bengal branch moves northwards, crossing northeast India in early June. The Arabian Sea branch moves northwards and discharges much of its rain on the windward side of the Western Ghats. Annual rainfall in this region averages between 1000 millimeters, that is 40 inches, and 3000 millimeters, that is 120 inches. The width of the plains varies between 100 and 130 kilometers. The plains are divided into 6 regions: the Mahanadi Delta, the southern Andhra Pradesh plain, the Krishna Godavari deltas, the Kanyakumari coast, the Coromandel coast, and sandy coastal. Western Coastal Plain. The Western Coastal Plain is a narrow strip of land sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea, ranging from 50 to 100 kilometers in width. It extends from Gujarat in the north and extends through Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka and Kerala. Numerous rivers and backwaters inundate the region. Originating in the Western Ghats, the rivers are fast-flowing and mostly perennial, leading to the formation of estuaries. Major rivers flowing into the sea are the Tapti, Narmada, Mandovi and Zuari. The coast is divided into 3 parts, namely Konkan, which is situated in Maharashtra, Goa and northern parts of Karnataka, the Canara in Karnataka and the Malabar coast in Kerala. Vegetation is mostly deciduous. The Malabar coast, moist forest constitutes a unique ecoregion. Islands of India. Lakshadweep. The Lakshadweep and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are India's 2 major island formations which are classified as union territories. Lakshadweep, also known as Laccadive Islands, is a group of islands in the Laccadive Sea 200 to 440 kilometers off the coast of the southwest Indian state of Kerala. The islands form the smallest union territory of India. The total land area is 32 square kilometers. 10 of the islands are inhabited. Lakshadweep is the northern part of the erstwhile Lakshadweepa. The islands are the northernmost among the Lakshadweep, Maldives, Chagos group of islands, which are actually the tops of a vast undersea mountain range in the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea. The land area is 32 square kilometers. The lagoon area is about 4,200 square kilometers. The territorial waters area is 20,000 square kilometers and the economic zone area is 4 lakh square kilometers. Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands are located between 6 degrees and 14 degrees north latitude and 92 degrees and 94 degrees east longitude. They consist of 572 isles lying in the Bay of Bengal near the Myanmar coast. It is located 1,255 kilometers from Kolkata and 193 kilometers from Cape Negras in Myanmar. The territory consists of 2 island groups, the Andaman Islands and the Nicobar Islands. The Andaman Islands consists of 204 small islands with a total length of 352 kilometers. India's only active volcano, Barren Island, is situated here, having last erupted in May 2005. The Narkodam is a dormant volcano, and there is a mud volcano at Baratang, Indira Point. India's southernmost landmass point is situated in the Nicobar Islands and lies just 189 kilometers from the Indonesian island of Sumatra to the southeast. The highest point is Mount Tulier at 642 meters.